Okay, so this is a paste made out of potassium hydroxide we have here and Epsom salts or magnesium sulfate, and it's about 1 spoon potassium hydroxide, 1 teaspoon. Here I've got a bunch of things. 1 teaspoon potassium hydroxide and probably around 3 to 4 of the Epsom salts. And what I find is that when you grind it like this, it'll make a paste. It'll get hot, I believe, because it's the water of the Epsom salt maybe mixing together, and you'll get this crystalline paste essentially, which is like a non-cooked version of the crystal battery cell, as we can see here. And here I've got one made up, and we can see if I pull the cap open, it's just inside. I just compressed it with a chopstick, and then we have the copper and magnesium electrode. You can use aluminum, the aluminum depending, and then I'm going to hot glue the top. Here I just grabbed the hot glue gun, which is, it'll seal it up. I don't know if these are going to like survive a day by keeping them dry. Excuse me, I don't know if they're going to solidify or what the hell's going to happen, but let's figure it out. So we got the multimeter and it's on voltage, and I use this a little bit. Excuse me, let me get that out of the way. And positive copper, negative magnesium. You can see, not too bad. That's really nice. Amperage wise, we're getting, see, they're well above 200 milliamps, 200 plus milliamps. That's not. Here's the thing, the amperage is related to the surface area. This has no surface area. It's a piece of wire and a piece of magnesium. At least I believe it's related to surface area. As we find out later in the video, maybe I was wrong about that. Pretty much got it. It's not going to have any amperage. It's just a voltage that we're interested in. So what I've made it out of is these plastic bottles, which you can buy. You can get these for like $10 for like 50 of them or something. And I've just drilled 2 holes in the top. And what we do is we just load it up, compress it in, get the chopstick, push it down the bottom like so. And if you can figure out a way to make a paste, and then grinding in like crystal salts, not crystals but salts, then you can make this paste another way. I was thinking about using lard, but what does salt and, excuse me, what does hydroxide and lard make? It makes soap. That's not really going to work. There's probably going to be other ways to, people who are better in cosmetics, maybe they know how to make pastes better. I don't know. If you can make like a toothpaste, I guess this would work for a toothpaste, baking soda, and I think if you use a little bit of fat and you mix it with the fat, there we go. Let me just pop the cap on, like so. Let me wipe off any excess. And then we just take our piece of copper here and we just shove it in. And you don't want these to touch, and then just fold it out like so. And take your piece of magnesium or your piece of aluminium or, whatever other metal you've got, zinc. Pop that in and then fold it out. Turn on the voltmeter just to make sure we're not short-circuiting anything. I've got it the wrong way around, but whatever. There you go. So it's producing about so as you can see there, 1.5, pretty nice. Hot glue station. For this one, what we're going to do, if you've got hot glue and you don't know how to hot glue, usually keep it on like a tissue or toilet paper or whatever, because it will spill, and you want to be careful with when you turn it on and off. This is a cheap one. You may not have the same issues, because if you have like a more expensive one, anyway, you can actually just turn it on for a little while and then turn it off, and it'll still be warm, but it won't leak. You can see it's kind of dripping. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull it off. I know hot glue is amazing. It's just for like making little things. It's just so convenient. I think we need a more environmentally friendly version of hot glue, you know, because it's I think it's you literally melt in some kind of plastic, but you could just make a plastic out of like starch, yeah, starch plastic or something. You can make hot glue rods. I think that for the next like 10, 20-ish years, everything will be made out of plant plastic and some other kind of plastic. And there we go. We can see I can't really pull these out. I can't pull that out, and you could tape around here if you want. All made, all hot glued, so they do not spill or do not, you know. Well, it's not going to spill anyway because it's a solid electrolyte, but it's the tops that we don't want. And I'm going to put some of them together and show you what we get. Okay, so we put one together in series, for example. Positive, negative. It to our red 2-volt light, and we get a decently strong. Could be a little stronger, to be honest. That's a little bit weak, but we get it working. So, and the voltage, if you're interested, is around 3 volts. Put 3 in series, so connect that. And then we, this shouldn't blow because the amperage is not high enough. So we get a stronger red light. We can also, I'll show you these. These are really cool. I got these recently. This one's a, 1 second. This one, it's meant to be purple, but it looks just like a bluey. Oh no, this is a white LED. Excuse me. I'll go grab me purple one then. This one I love. It's pink. Look how cool that is. Is that not awesome? I'll turn the light off for that one. 1 second. On camera it doesn't look great, but it looks really nice in real life. Whatever. Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Look at that. Yeah. Hope I'm not breaking my camera doing this, but yeah. Pink. So this one, it's like a purple, but it doesn't really look purple. So let's test it out. And it's really high voltage. You got to get it like 4, or not really high, but you got to get like 4 volts. So, it kind of looks purple on camera. What the hell? That's weird as. Yeah, it looks purple, doesn't it? To me, it looks like a light blue. But man, that's weird as. All right, whatever. Now let's get 4 of them connected. Yeah. Negative to positive, and let's hook it up to a motor. See if I can get that. Oh, that's when my extra purple one went. It was magnetized to the side of the motor. Okay, whatever. So let me hook this up and hopefully not short circuit everything else. And are we getting anything? No, we're not. It does not really have the amperage to drive the motor. And how many volts do I get off all these in series? I don't know, like 5, 5.5, 5, yes, something like that, whatever. Okay, so here's 3 batteries which are of certain amounts of charge. And you can see if I hold it up here, positive and negative, on the voltmeter I get nearly a volt, about 9.9, nearly 1.4, and nearly 1.3. Now these were all about 0.8, 0.9 before I charged them up a little. And if we look at amperage on the 20 amp setting, this one is 1.5. Are you seeing that? Yeah, that fluctuation on the video. Rewind about 5 seconds and look to the left of the carpet, how it flashes. That, I felt like my head, you ever get that weird feeling where your head kind of opens up? I had this weird feeling where my head was like going up and down, like a strange energy sensation. I don't know if it was from the battery or something else, who knows. That's happening. I could feel that. There's There's like a weird energy fluctuation when I don't know, short circuited them. Yeah, it seems to not. Huh. Anyway, around 0.2 and 5. Yeah. So it's got a tiny. It's basically got nothing in it, that one. And this one's like 1.43, 1.3, 1.2. This one, yeah, about 1.1. So this one's got a little bit of juice in it. This one's got more, and this one has a tiny amount of juice. What I've devised is this charger here, like a piece of plastic that was scrap off another thing. I ripped some of these thingos here. I just ripped them and like off, and then put them where I wanted them to be, and then hot glued it. This might get you a better view. Yeah, so basically I just hot glued like support beams. You could just get some wood and do that yourself, or like little bits of metal, as you can see here. And then if we pull it back, it's hot glued there, and then I just hot glued strips of folded foil onto here, and it fits a battery. For example, this one was really low in charge. And it's because I overcharged a little bit. I don't know if I broke it or here. Okay, it's like 0.2 amperage, nothing. That'll be negative, this will be positive, and I just stuff it in like so, and then all I do, just try to get it so it fits. Now I've done multiple, and I find with multiple what happens is that one of the batteries heats up a stupid amount, and we don't want that. It should in theory work in multiples, but it doesn't. For some reason it doesn't. I don't understand why. And we go clip here, and then we need to connect it to a power source. You see here, negative to negative. So again, negative on the generator. My blood. Too many experiments. Goes to negative of the battery, and positive of the battery goes to positive of the generator. Okay, see, easy. You can use copper wire to connect them. You can use foil, whatever you want to use. We turn it on, and you can see. Oh wow! Look at all that current. That's a lot of current. It could be because you can see it's going down, which is good. Now, I'm overcharging it. Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. No wonder. Because this is a 1.5 volt battery. Here we go, 1.5. There we go. So what you can do is you can charge at 1.5, but look at that amperage. Pretty much what this means is 0.2 times 1.5, which equals I don't know, like 0.30 or something. You're not getting a whole lot, that's going to be how much amperage you are getting. So just say if that was like 1 amp and it was 1.5 volts, we'd get like 1.5 amps of juice over an hour. That's how it works, right? Or you can think 1 volt and 1 amp would get you 1 amp of juice over an hour. To correct it, 1 amp times 1.5 volt would actually be 1.5 watts, not amps. So, it kind of shows up that way when you test the amperage. Kind of like 1 watt of energy. What we can do is you will at least have it at around 1.7, 1.8 for 1.5 volt battery, and you want to feel the battery. And you can see as I turn the voltage up, the amperage is also rising. So it's about 0.5 amps, meaning it's getting amperage times voltage, which is around 0.9. It's getting around 0.9 watts per hour. If we turn it up, it's getting around maybe 1.1. You can go up to, safely, you can go up to around 2.2 on a 1.5 volt battery. Feel it every 10-20 minutes to make sure it's not hot, because what happens is the higher you turn this, for example, we turn it up to 2.5, again, that's 1.5 or 1.4 times 2.5. That's how much juice per hour you are getting in this battery. Okay? This is called supercharging, or like ultra charging or whatever. We are now charging at double the rate. Look at that, 3 times, again, 2.5. I'm going to feel the battery, and the battery is going to get hot sooner or later. It's going to get very hot at this rate, but what you can do is you can leave it for like a minute or like maybe 5-10 minutes at a really high, you know, getting a bad connection, like a higher amount than it would handle, and you can charge it very quickly. Long term, this is not really all that good, because you got to keep your finger on it essentially, because it's starting to heat up a little bit, I think, and it'll get to the point where it's very, very hot. And if you do it too much, if we add too many volts, assuming this is not a lithium ion battery, for example, there you can see we're going up to 4, or can we do for 5? No, it will not let us go up any further. It just will not take any more current, because that's 5 amps of current. It'll only handle 5 amps. So I'm going to just keep it on a safe 2.2. 2.2 was the upper range. As I said, 1.8 to 2.2. 2.2 is the upper range of like acceptability. Yeah, it's a little bit hot, a little bit. And I'll just keep it. I'll keep it here for, oops. You can see it goes to 0 when it's not, when it's disconnected. The amperage goes to 0, and when there's no connection. Yep. Okay. Now there's connection, which is good. I'm just going to keep it there. As I said, per hour, what you are getting is current times is amperage, or current times voltage. That's how much you're going to get. So this battery goes up to probably around 1.5 volts and 5 amps. I think it's pretty decent actually, these ones. So that means I'd need to keep it on this for around 2.5 hours. The rate it's charging, it will, the current usually will go down, and that's how you know how charged it is how high the current says on this. Usually that's what I find. To make sure it's not super hot, if it's really hot or you have some kind of error, turn it off and let it cool down. And this is not lithium. Just remember, this is not, you can do this technically with lithiums, but alkalines, even though they say they're not rechargeable, can handle a bit of, strain. If you overcharge the lithium, it could blow up, so you don't want that. So I don't know if anyone's interested in this stuff, but I'm making these electrodes here, as you can see. This one's not perfect, but I just have copper pipe and I've chopped through it like so with the looks like this. The pipe is like so, and then what you do, you get some pliers and you just twist it out, so pick the ones as you can, just kind of this, and then you get a good hammer, and you flatten it out again. I folded that when I fucked it up. Some of them are not perfect at it yet. we go. A good way that I didn't get to show is actually you just kind of put it on the corner of the workbench and then you just hammer it. If you just try it, you'll get it, and that's when you've kind of bent the metal out, and that's an easy way to flatten the kind of still curved bits. You just put it kind of hang it over the workbench and then hammer the side flat. You can see I've got a big strip of it. It's pretty big. That's like 14 inches or 40 centimeters or something. Anyway, I'll basically just go whoop, 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 chop it all up. So you could also use this to make stuff. There we are. That's hot. Not too bad. Pretty thick, as you can see, reasonably thick. But I don't have an anvil, or else I would hammer them down into like a foil. Otherwise, these are pretty thick. Okay, so these are like a Voltaic pile, essentially. As you can see, I've got a couple of them here. Which a Voltaic pile will show you is basically just a pile of, this is copper, this is steel. Steel's not really all that good electrically. Because the idea of iron and steel being an etheric defense thing or something that sends it away, like the idea of, that's why a red brick they say is spiritually protective, because it defends everything. Basically just you go like copper, and then we need a sheet of something to separate, which I've used these like wipes. And I've got some other ones here. These were the plant-based ones, so I went with, tried to get some of those as well. And then you cover it in, here's our electrolyte. This is actually cornstarch and Epsom salt and potassium hydroxide. You can use anything like, what do you call it? Whatever the one we made in the last video with that stuff that makes things like gooey and jelly. I forget what it's called, but anyway, that's another one. This one's made with cornstarch. As you can see, it's pretty, gooey, jelly-ish, all that. Ugh. I just got a paintbrush and just painted it over, and then you go, steel, and then you can put another copper. So I don't have I don't have another piece of copper, but you'd go copper, because that'd be positive, negative, that makes a current, that makes a voltage, and then you do, because you're trying to, add them in series or parallel, depending on what you want, and you do another one, a piece of copper, you put your cloth on there again, and this is a piece of aluminum can, which was difficult to get the plastic off. I burnt it, I scratched it. It actually doesn't work that well. What's better is, what I'll show in a minute, aluminum foil that you just fold lots, because otherwise it'll corrode really easily. And then you just keep making these piles of, it's like a super stacked sandwich. Whatever, let's rip one open. And you can see I've got it in this plastic, which is just a Ziploc bag. That's actually what I found better, was to tape the whole thing, to just wrap it around with tape. Only problem is you need a lot of tape. So until I got like a better working example, didn't really want to, mess things up. And I can feel, I made this a couple of days ago, but it's still, you can see that, it's still wet and like moist in, which is what we want. So I also taped some electrodes to it, and here I'll rip this apart to show you. And this was my idea, was that because a bigger surface area makes more amperage. Amperage is within surface area, because if you think about it, if you connect things in parallel, all you're doing is just enhancing the surface area. Well, if you connect things in series, which this, as you can see here, this is a negative electrode, the negative ion, and we can see the copper, or that copper there, which gives it, I'll see if there's actually any voltage in this. I used them all up to test how, you know, well they worked. 0.5 volt. If I charge it up, we get a little more. Right, so I'm going to see here. Oh yeah, we'll go here, take it off, and we can see again the copper sheet, and it's still nice and gooey. And we got the copper, and I don't know if I meant to, but I put in between the electrolyte here, and you can see the copper has given it stuff. And the iron, you can see the iron has actually started to corrode, which means it's worked, it's functioned here. You can see here, and again, the iron and the copper, that's what it's meant to be doing. That's how it electrochemically works. And you see, we just keep layering plates. If we come back to this battery, we can see the amperage has dropped down, and if I feel it, it is it's kind of going wild because the connection isn't very good. There we go. If I feel it, it's warm, and that's after about 10-20 minutes. But it's not like, if it's hot, like a hot piece of metal, not good. No, you want to turn it off, but it's pretty warm, but it can handle this, depending on the battery, of course. Some batteries, you know, they're cheaper, they're not going to handle the amperage, or the recharging process, depending on, you know, how cheap and nasty the battery is. So. Right, let's make one of these interesting little Voltaic piles. Now what we need, either you're going to need a Ziploc bag. Most small sizes, you could use a half size, that'll work better. You need some tape, you need a positive and negative lead. This is just 2 pieces of wire. It doesn't matter that the colors are different, just helps me out a little bit. You need either a paintbrush or something like a spoon, something that you can use to get the jelly, the electrolyte jelly, onto the paper. 3 metal plates and 3 other metal plates of a different kind, which we're going to use this foil. And of course, how to make the jelly, you simply just get some water, about 200 milliliters, or a cup of water just heat it up in like a, you know, what do you call it, a pot. And you keep it on a flame, a low flame or a medium flame. Add about a spoonful or 2 of cornstarch, add about a spoonful or 2 of whatever salt you're using. As I said, this one is Epsom salt or magnesium sulfate and potassium hydroxide. I find they work pretty well. To make our electrode plate, get foil. That's alright. This is probably around 30 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Or if you're American, it's probably about 12 inches by 7-8 inches maybe. If you find that the chemical is eating away too much at the plates, you can make them thicker. Or if you want them to be smoother and smaller, you can make them thinner. What we do, now I like to use the matte side. There is the matte and there is the smooth side. I'm not sure if one of them is coated in plastic, but the matte side I think is better. And at this point, what we're going to do is we want to kind of think of the size of this. So what I do is I go like that, and I go like that, and then I go fold it in half, and it's still a bit too big, so like that maybe, fold it in half, a bit too big. You want them similar in size. There we go. It's a little bit bigger, but that's okay. And kind of give it a flatten, make it a nice little product, like so. And there we go. aluminum. Now, for these, I'm going to use 2 layers. One layer is a bit too thin, because what happens if they touch each other, they're going to short circuit. So 2 layers and also extra absorbability. As we can see, if I lay these out nicely, we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Electrolyte, tape, electrode, scissors, and plastic bag. The way we arrange them is we first need pick a piece of copper like this down here, and then get a piece of tape, get our positive electrode, and then we tape it like so. And I like to have, you know, one off to the side like this so they don't touch, and the other one off like that. We can also tape our negative, and I like to put them this way instead of that way. We will do that later, but this seems to work because you get it onto the plastic here, which seems to help. And we go like so, and you can see when they, oops, wrong way. So we've got 2 that are the same way, because when they go together, positive, negative, and they're not like that, which will, you know, short circuit. First piece of fabric on, flip this over, okay? First piece of fabric on here. Actually, what we're going to do first, get a paintbrush, dip it in the electrolyte solution, and paint over like so. Because you want this to go through, and then we put it on here. And of course, if you're using caustic chemicals, do be careful. They're not going to, you know, melt your fingers off, as long as it's not too strong. And then we see how I flip it over. So I got it on the bottom side, and we go over the top like here. And you want to get the whole area where the copper plate is. Like so. You really want to get that nice and good. And it's good, using my paintbrush doing parkour, it is good to have overlap on the sides and the top, because that stops. So what we do now, take our piece of aluminum, paint over it, pop it on top. That stops these from touching each other. Then we get another piece of copper, paint the aluminum, get it nice and wet, paint the copper, or whatever sheet you're using, and we fit it in a way that it fits nicely. Again, we don't want too much, we don't want them touching. And then we get another piece, paint the top of this, paint this. You can do this, and you can put this in a jar, and then you can use a liquid electrolyte. So you just put them in this configuration, you just dunk it in a jar of electrolyte, and that'll work. Again, paint over where you feel the copper is, and then we put our next piece of aluminum, like so. Paint over the aluminum nicely. Paint over the copper, put the copper down, keeping it nice and neat, and then we paint over the copper, get one of these fellas, put them down, again try to keep it all the same size, so we don't have any issues later on. Paint over the top, get our last electrode, and place it like so. Very nice. Now you can see we have one cell, and you can squish it down just to give it, you know, better connectivity. You see it like this, very nice. Nothing is short circuiting, as we can see, and we can turn the voltmeter on. Here, I'll take us out a little. Turn the meter on, positive, excuse me, positive, negative. And we get a 3.6 volt reading. Amperage above 200 milliamps. The wrong thing. There you go. Look at that. That's on the 20. So what's that? 0.5? 0.04 on the 20. I don't know if that's 30 milliamps or 300 milliamps. I don't really understand. Whatever. And you want to tape. Put it on the top here, like so. And you want to see how I'm pushing these forward. That's not short-circuited. And then we go over like that, because it's keeping that in safe. And then for this, we push it in. Excuse me, we push that in like so that it's not, nothing can be short-circuited. That's the main important part, like so. And we wrap it around. You just wrap it around again, like that. And that'll keep your electrodes on. Now, if you were jacketing it in tape, you just like around like that, and you just keep, and then you go down the bottom, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'll jacket this one in tape, and then you go like that, and then you go like that, and you can see we've still got some poking out. We can't, if we do that, it could still leak, and then you go around again, and then we like so, and you can see that is completely sealed. Okay, that is completely, it's like one of those vacuum sealed batteries, and that's not gonna, you're not, because what the thing is, you don't want the electrolyte to dry, and then you'll wrap it around the top. So I'll do it again. Go around the top like so. This, I'm using electrical tape. You can use electrical's good because it's kind of thin, and then duct tape, and then even though we've got these fellas, should still keep in the, you know, keep in the fluids. And you see that is a 99% airtight seal. It's still, you know, you're still gonna have a little bit of give around there. You could hot glue it, but that's how you make a oh, I've got to put a little bit of tape around, and you want to check if there's any, like, for example, here is a little bit of a corner. There we go, because the electrolyte will not dissipate. And again, test it. Yep, amperage. You test it because you don't want to short circuit it, and we're getting 2.5 volts. Not bad, not bad. Excuse me, I've got the LED, and you can see straight off the bat it will work. We can get a decent light out of it, so it will light, it will work. That's a 2 volt LED. This is a 3 volt LED here, and it will light a 3 volt. Actually, that's decent lighting. You see there? Because if I use it on this, that's on a regular battery. It's stronger on the regular battery, because I haven't charged this up yet. But anyway, otherwise, if you're using the Ziploc, what you do is you put it in the Ziploc. You want to cut the top part of the Ziploc, and I don't mean the sealer. You don't want to cut the sealer, but you want to cut the kind of flap off the top, and then you kind of put it in like so. Get all the air out. You kind of lock the sides like so, and what you do is you fold the bottom up like so, and then you fold it, so as I said, bottom like that, and then you fold it around like so. You see it's wrapped nicely, and then you tape here. So you tape here. You can also tape here, and that'll stop any kind of moisture getting out. Or you can just zip these up like so, which will work to an extent. Alright, so we're back here with the charging battery. Turn it off, unplug the charger, feel it. It's hot, but it's not, oh, it's a little bit hot, but it's not too bad. And we're on voltage, get a voltage reading, and I can see it has not, you can see that it has not leaked anything. If it leaks, usually it'll be from the bottom where the seal is. Has not leaked. So if it gets too hot, it'll leak. If it, otherwise it'll be fine. We get positive, negative, and we get a 1.6 volts. This is the same battery, you can remember, because this one, its jacket is partly you know, taken off, so you can see there I'm holding it. Take it off, adding it, and that is the voltage of a basically a fully charged battery. Now this is the amperage. What is that like? Holding it 2.2-ish. Yep, that's short circuit amperage. We took it from about 0.3, 0.2 amperage to 2.2 in about half an hour, I would say. It's been charging about half an hour, and then we took it from about an 0.8.5 to a 1.6, 1.5 voltage. This is a half charged battery, but it will work. You know, if we want to hook it up to something, this will actually work now. Anyway, let's go on to the next experiment. So here we have our pile. Here's another one that I prepared. Here we have a pile. Here's another one that I prepared, and you can see for this one that I've completely used it up. And we're only getting a reading of, okay, that's actually better than I thought, about a volt. Not too bad. This is meant to be around 3 volts. What happens if we take this spent thingo, we go negative, positive. This is how you charge it. You just hook up the negative, and you can also make a special charger like I do with the battery. And you see it says 0 because it is not. I push it down and we still get nothing. Alright, sometimes I have problems with this, but if we up the voltage, we can start to see the amperage going. This is meant to be about a 3 volt Voltaic pile. You know what I can do? I can charge it with 30 volts. In fact, I could charge it with more. I could hook this up and you can see the amperage slowly dropping, meaning it's charging. This is basically how we speed charge these things, because they can be overcharged. This is what you can do with really rough, really kind of ghetto batteries, is that you can overcharge them. You can like supercharge them. You can be rough with them, which is why they're nice to learn how to charge batteries with. And we can see the amperage is still dropping. Watch that 10, it'll drop to a 9. When it's at about a 0 or a 1, we're pretty much done. So again, I'm holding this and it'll get hot. It may start to steam in, yeah, I think it's starting to steam. If you can, it's a bit hard to see because of the light. And we can assume if we times 0.5 by 30, we're getting 0.10 times 30 is 3. Half that is 1.5. We're getting about 1.5 watts an hour, which is, you know, kind of not really a lot, but it is what it is, and it's slowly going down. It shows that this can't hold a lot of power, probably because it doesn't have enough plates, and the plates aren't big enough. If I hooked a lot of them up in series, then parallel, excuse me, hooked a lot of them up parallel, maybe we'd get something better. Anyway, 4's good enough. We'll just, for now, we'll just keep that there, because I'm trying to do a quick experiment just to show you. Okay, voltmeter testing, positive, negative. What do we get? We're now getting 4.3 volts. Nice. Amperage. We're getting, what's that, like, I don't know. We're getting something. Again, I'm not sure how to read that. It should, if it's 30 milliamps or if it's 300, whatever. Red LED, pretty decent, and you can see on the camera that's lighting up quite nicely. Now the problem is that it will only light up for like 5 minutes or something. Really not a whole lot of time. Pink LED, yeah, really nice. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna connect these, and I'm gonna like just keep it running. Yeah, because I don't have enough cables, I'm just gonna hold it here. So we're just gonna keep it running while we do other stuff. Now, second pile, this is a pile we made, the Voltaic pile we made, right? Put this down a little. Second Voltaic pile. Turn it back on, turn the voltage down because I don't want to shock myself. Positive to positive, negative to negative. And we see we're basically getting nothing, which means there's like no transfer. Turn it up, and look at that. We are getting a transfer. Turn it up a lot. Can you hear it? Can you hear it bubbling? Whatever. It's bubbling inside of there. And we probably don't, screw it. We'll charge it up. Really, yeah. This one I think is better. I think this one's a little better because we're getting a bit more amperage out of it. If we push it down, you can see we're getting more connection, because we're getting more connection between the plates. I think if I filled this with like a goo, maybe that would work better. You can see we're still turning. Yeah, it still works. Whatever. So I'm going to let that get down to maybe like a 10 or something. And you can see this. Oh, it's hard to see in the light, but it's fogged up because again, there's a chemical reaction happening in this thingo right now. It's still nice, working well. That's after about a minute. So this is lasting a minute. If you need a light, if you need a battery at pretty much any voltage, as long as you're willing to just stack plates, you want 100 volts, you want to stack 100, you're willing to stack 100 plates, are you willing to buy a bunch of magnesium? Well, if you want a really short life battery, you can do that. Is it hot? Yes, it is. It's not super hot, but it's warm. It's like holding a cup of tea. And that's why we can do that with this, because it's not going to explode. Like, the chemicals in this are safe. That's why I think alkaline batteries are alkaline, and also things like magnesium salts, like a lead acid. A lead acid's not going to explode. Lead's probably not the best thing to use for a battery, but it's not going to blow up. This isn't going to blow up. I'm using 30. This is 10 times the voltage that it's meant to be. Maybe it'll go up to 4 volts. I don't know. 5. Like this one went up to what, 4.5 or something. It's only going to get hot. That's it. It's just going to get hot. Because chemically, it's not dangerous. I'm not using any chemicals which are dangerous. It's just going to get hot. And the worst case, maybe we have some kind of issue here from pushing it to, its limit. Still, this is still working really well. Supposedly, if you use these and you charge them up and use them and charge them up, use and charge them up, they do become better because you saturate the chemicals in there. Maybe that's why this is going better, because the last time I did this, I got about 10 minutes of battery, maybe around 7, 8 of good battery, and 10 and an extra like 3 of just, not very high volt, not very good. Alright, for me that's probably enough charging. That was maybe, I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of charging time. How high is the voltage? Just keep that off in the corner. Keep it against black. Maybe that's amperage. We're getting okay. That's on the 20. Not as much as I thought. Okay, sometimes if you overcharge them, you actually kill them. That's what I found. In there, we may have damaged it, or it needs to cool. Yeah, we're not getting a whole lot. It says it's about 2 volts. Not a lot. Well, it kind of sucks. Whatever. Let's go LED. Red LED. Yeah, that's right. I might have to let it cool. Sometimes you gotta let them cool. Squishy. Hear that squish? You gotta let them cool. Sometimes charging them more works well, and sometimes it doesn't work too well. Is this starting to die out a little bit? Yeah, it's starting to die out now. So you can see after about, what, 3-ish minutes. Now what we're going to do, I've got these two in series. Let's charge them up. Not with 30 volts, or at least not for now. Turn it down. We've got 2. This is probably about a 3-volt battery. So, do we get any? No. Okay, so this needs a lot more. We're not getting a lot of amperage, and usually it's because there's not enough liquid. I think that's the thing with these batteries, is that they're convenient because they don't spill and they don't, I can see that fogging up. Might be able to see that a little bit. Yeah, they're convenient because they don't spill and don't have all these issues, but let's really jack it up. Not getting a lot of amperage. As I said, the crystal doesn't have a lot. Will it charge up? Will it work? I don't really know. Am I using too much voltage? Again, I don't know. And you see this has just about died out. Just about lost its charge. I'll keep it going until it completely does die out. This should be enough for this. These are cold, even though I just zapped them with quite a bit. And should work on this. Yep, works fine. Not fairly bright. On the pink one, which is pretty much, it's still going. It's actually still kind of going. Will it work with this? Yes, it will. It'll work. It works just fine. It's pretty good. How long will it work for? I don't know. That's let's find out. Keep this going in the side. Make sure it doesn't. There we go. Like that. Very nice. Now this one, let's voltmeter it. Test it on here. Negative, positive. And we get, it's meant to be completely dead, more or less, and we're getting like 2 volts. Will it work with the red? Because again, when something is just uncharged, it basically just means the voltage is going down, you can think. As you can see, 2 volt red light. It's not super strong, but it, that's what it's done. Go back to this one. We're not getting a lot of voltage off this one. I may have screwed it up by charging it too much, too hard, or too quick. Sometimes you want to kind of charge them at what voltage you want them to like be at. Sometimes, as in, if I want this to be about a 4 volt, and then we want to keep it like positive, negative. Yeah, just keep it on there for a bit like that, because we want it to like think that the voltage it's getting is the voltage it is, so to speak. I don't know if it's kind of understandable, but and then you can kind of supercharge it a bit more. But you have to be gentle, give or take. This one's doing well for two of these fellas. You know, the magnesium is really is pretty good. I'll just keep that on for a couple minutes and see how long I can get it. Going back to this battery that we charged, usually they go down, as in the after they cool. Yeah, you can see it's the voltage is dropped, and the amperage has. So you got to kind of, yeah, we can see the amperages. Oh, 1.7-ish, which is still, you know, this is still a usable battery. If you put this in a television remote, that would last a couple weeks, for like a month, right? So just off an hour of, or half an hour of charging, ideally, because what happens is that, you know, chemically inside of here, I think it's trying to, like, let's just say the good chemicals trying to fight the bad chemical. You think it's not good or bad, it's just, you know, one chemical's fighting another one. So there's all this like chemical stuff left over, right? And from using it, and then from charging it, we're trying to neutralize all of that other chemical, I think. And then when you charge it a bit, all the other chemical, the chemical that signifies that's used up is neutralizing the charged chemical. So it's like equalizing and finding a stability point chemically within there, which is why if you just keep it running for like 2 hours or 3 hours on a, you know, on a lowish voltage, like a 0.8 or excuse me, a 1.8 or like a 2 volt, for a 1.5, then it should kind of neutralize all of that chemical and slowly bring it over to the charged state. I think that's how it works. And this is still going pretty good, pretty strong. Let's get back to this. See if that did anything to save it. Not really. Oh well. What I can do is I can put these in parallel. I can put them in series as well, but I can put them in parallel to get more power out of them. And you can also charge these up with a solar panel, like a mini solar panel. So that's another fun thing you could do. Here we go. Just connect negative, positive to positive. What do we get? What do we get voltage and amperage wise? 2 volt. Amperage is, I don't know, it's 1 on the meter. Oh, we're getting nothing. We're getting basically nothing. It needs to be charged up, I guess. Oh, look at that. Wow, that was, for a while, it sure had a lot of amperage. All right, check that out. This is still going. Oh, connectivity issue here. That's still going. That's crazy. It's starting to get a bit low power now, but this has been going for like 40 minutes, I think. It's absolutely insane. I don't know if we can check inside if there's some kind of like chemical reaction with the magnesium, and this hasn't even been charged. So I'm wondering, because usually the crystal cells, you don't charge them. It didn't seem to like being charged as well. If I put that many volts, so yeah, I think it's here. I'll take it off and we'll hook it up. I'm on the negatives. Oops. It's going up. It's okay. Maybe it's recharging itself. And I've had this one, the other one going, not too hot. The one that was in series going for a little while. Yeah, okay, interesting. So it's slowly, seemingly, it's recharging itself. Now I think, because this destroys my hypothesis, which may still work, I don't know, which is that amperage is meant to be a product of surface area. Also, potentially amperage is a product of the metals and the chemistry involved. I don't know, because if I'm using magnesium sulfate with a magnesium strip, if that's something good, or if magnesium is just a really, really nice metal. See, it's still, look at that, it's still replenishing itself, which is really weird. And the amperage probably gone down to nothing. That'd be interesting to see if it, oh, yep, it's slowly going up. Usually it goes down. So I think it might be, I don't know, maybe, yeah, going up, as you can see. It seems about as weak as it was, whatever. Anyway, that was an interesting experiment with that one. I'll just let this sit, or try to recharge it actually. And now for this one, which has been on 30 volts for like as long as that light was on, which is probably about 40 minutes, I would say. With this one, voltage, we get 3.1, not very good. Okay, before I did have a lot more. Before I had about 5 volts. That's strange, but whatever. Let's go to amperage. And again, not a whole lot. That kind of sucks. Whatever. Let's see how strong the light is. Yeah, pretty strong. Pink light. Yeah. But still not super strong. Again, I don't know. This is strange. That's why I haven't worked it out perfectly yet. Sometimes it seems to go high, and sometimes it seems to go low. What is an issue of? And sometimes if I just leave this battery, which could just be a chemical reaction, it seems to have a higher voltage later on. Sometimes, as long as I don't use it. Like if I turn it back to, maybe it's already done it. Check it. No, it's going down. Okay. Oh well. Oh well. And then we'll quickly just check this one before finishing up. Which it's it. Oh, look at that. It's basically recharged itself. Well, that's weird, isn't it? And if I plug it in to the charger, plug it into the charger, can I get any amperage? Not really. If I put it up to 30, it seems to charge very quickly. So it's not really charging, because probably because it's a solid electrolyte, which is kind of showing me, and it seems to recharge itself. Well, what a fascinating little battery the crystal cell ones are. I don't know how, because some people think it's a product of the piezoelectricity of the crystal, and you see the voltage is going up. Problem with that idea is that this is not under piezoelectric stress. I don't think this is a jar of crystal goop. When you cook them, which this isn't cooked, then it is a matter of piezo. Well, I mean, you could say it's a matter of piezoelectricity, but this one isn't. Not a whole lot of amperage in it. I don't know. Maybe look at that. See, it goes up. Usually they go down, which is telling me that it could be charging itself. Okay, so we're about 1 hour. What are we? 1 hour and 4 minutes into editing this. It's probably taken me like 2 hours so far. As you can see, it is 12:42 a.m. and I'm really hungry. And I've had this running. You can see there, it's still running pretty well. Well, it's kind of starting to die down, but you know, I've had this running for the last like 2 hours, and that was just off that point in the video where you're watching, right, like just before, when I charged it for like 10 seconds. That's where it's been, you know, it's been going since then. So I think it's maybe it's electrolyte allows it to have more amperages, and you can store the amperage in the electrolyte solution. I don't know. I think that's something to work on from now on. It's crazy. It just blows my mind. Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be, again, a product of magnesium. As we can see, the light is now strong again. Whether that was from giving it a 10-second burst on with the charger, because I'm going to leave this light again and see if it'll last a long time. Because wouldn't that be kind of weird if it like lasted ages again? I think we're onto something with these magnesium cells, man. These are crazy. I'm gonna put these in parallel, I think. Anyway, I think that's about enough for the video. I'm gonna leave this turned on, and I think I'm gonna make a whole lot more of these magnesium ones. These ones I wanted to make to show you a voltaic pile, and to show you how we can overcharge and supercharge it and all that stuff. But in the end, I guess they didn't really turn out to be all that great. But they are a little fun experiment. You can probably try yourself with homemade, home ingredients, and it's good to see it. You can see all the fog building up chemically, and then you can rip them apart and look at the chemistry, how the galvanic cell is different from the electrolytic, I think that's what you call electrolytic cell, something like that. Whatever. Please check the links in the description for social commercial things, and have a nice day. Positive, I think, and negative. Yep, here we are. And keep that going for a bit. Short circuited itself. There we go. Very nice.